We on.
We on. So, man, we rusty. We rusty. We're definitely rusty on this, man, because we didn't even introduce ourselves the last couple of episodes.
I know.
We just came on. People don't know who are these two people. We don't even know who the hell they are. So I'm man, I think I may be
embryonic baby. Oh, you're changing it up?
I don't know, man. I've always been the embryonic baby boomer, but I am a futuristic boomer, so I might move to that, in 2024.
Oh yeah,
I might.
All right,
but who are you?
You're gonna come hard if you're gonna claim that, because tech is speeding, man. If you're gonna be futuristic, you better be up to speed.
Yeah, you're right, and I hit you to more than half the stuff anyway. I'm telling you about it, so you better catch up too.
You hit me up with things that you thought I didn't know, and I confirmed that I already knew. But
everything you already knew?
Not everything. Not everything.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay,
but who are you again?
Progressive millennial, man, through and through.
Okay,
still standing the test of time.
Yeah. All right. So
we on the mic. We on the mic. All of the way we interact with the world through technology, through transportation, through the workforce. What if all of that were sort of designed in a way that a woman might think of it?
Well, that dynamic is occurring, right? I mean, because
it feels like it.
No. Well, there's an interesting article that's out there. It talks about for Gen Z, men and women, they are like moving into polar opposites. You know what I mean? So, which is interesting. I mean, again, we talk about generational differences, It's interesting. There are a lot of men that feel that the more women gain equality, the more they're taking away from them. There are men that feel that way. But, that's some archaic thinking. So from my standpoint, I think that, there are a lot of things that have happened in years past that have highlighted the fact that women, like minorities, have gotten the short end of the motherfucking stick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think what's interesting in terms of what's happening now, allegedly, with Gen Z women and men, is that those Gen Z women really were coming into their, I guess, voice right after Donald Trump got elected. And the Me Too movement happened. And they got galvanized by that Me Too movement, which was some real shit. I mean, what's the statistics are 8 out of 10 women have said that they have been sexually harassed. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a high number, man. That's some bullshit.
What year was the Women's March, by the way?
I have no idea.
No.
We had to research that shit. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that was but that was when Obama was in office, right?
No, it was when Trump got elected. The highest and largest women's protests in history occurred
when Trump got in.
Or after Trump got in, because he was elected even above the what was the video, man? Was the TMZ video of him on the bus talking about grabbing women in the pussy and shit. Pussy. Yeah, he still won. Like, I mean, women were like, okay, all y'all motherfuckers, time to cut y'all shut y'all down. Y'all motherfuckers out here talking on national platform about grabbing women in the pussy.
Right.
Look, Me Too, fuck that. Y'all motherfuckers, shut that shit down.
And when that happened, a lot of women started to speak up about the victims, and through the court, they received justice from that, right?
There's a case currently still going with Trump, actually, where he continues to say that the woman that said that he, I guess, raped her or whatever he did to her, she recovered, and then he continues to disparage her and shit, and she keeps bringing more claims against him for slander, and she keeps winning.
Mm-hmm. But not just with the Trump case, but in all areas, right? Women started to speak up.
But yeah, I mean, that permeated the culture. I mean, when the Me Too movement allowed women who had been sexually harassed and, treated the way they've been treated to be able to find a voice to say that's not acceptable and move to that. And that became a seminal moment in our history. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, and from there, that incentivize women to kind of come together. And women typically, statistically, far more women are educated than men.
Yeah.
Right? And they pursue education. They pursue personal growth. You know, men are like, I don't want to do that shit. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
we chase them. They chase education and change.
Yeah, no, I mean, they just, their focus is just on it. You know, I mean, not that men are, yes, some are, but from a statistical standpoint, women by far outperform men in terms of, you know, intellect and, you know, things that they want to do. You know, I mean, and now they found their voice. Yeah.
And now when these things happen, when major shift happens, usually affects the younger generation.
Yeah.
So we, you know, boomers, we've laid through the test of time, Gen X, even millennials. When that happened, you know, I'm in my 30s.
You kind of old now.
Yeah, you keep calling me old, right?
No, I'm just saying you kind of old, bro. I'm just saying. You know, you was young when we started this shit.
I was young when we started.
Yeah.
But I don't feel old. What was I saying? So yeah, the generation that feels it the most is usually youngest generation, the younger generation. So in this case, Gen Zers. So how did that really impact Gen Zers when they experience women, you know, feeling more empowered, you know, going out and speaking out and their voices are being heard? They're more serious with their education. They're getting better jobs. You know, in most cases now, income is higher than men.
Right.
Even though when you have a conversation with, you know, a woman, they'll tell you that's not really. It's not really happening at the rate that we think it is.
Equality is not there, and it has never been there, but it's creeping up. But yeah, and so how do men feel? It's salty. Because every step come up that women come is equalizing the playing field. They salty, but they salty for no reason.
Do you think it's no reason, or do you think like so? You know, it always the transfer of power usually is never smooth sailing, right? It's not like, oh, you guys have been fucking us over for a long time, but now that we're getting up, we're gonna ease you into accepting it, and we'll also, you know, play with you and support you in that transition. It's never like that. It's like, oh, it's our time, we're about to fuck you up. So I think when I ask that, what is it coming from? Is it women are also like, you know, we're out to get you guys back. We're going to make you feel...
Well, from a male's perspective?
From the male's perspective. Or like, yeah. Like, what do you...
I think it differs. I think men who have had entitlement that loses part of their entitlement because more of a equality situation, for everything you giving up, you're salty. And for everything that, you know, women achieve, you know, he's like, well, I could have that, I didn't get that. But the motherfucker didn't apply. Because statistics say we don't even pursue shit. It's on the side. Fuck that. So what I think will happen over time is that fuck gender. Like, I believe fuck race. Who is the beast-ass motherfucker that's going to go after the prize and who's not? And that's going to cross against gender, culture, ethnicity, all that. Whoever don't. Whoever do. See, that's all. All you want is an equal playing field, right?
So you think we're becoming just one, right? There's the lines are blurring between race, gender. I mean, people are becoming more brown. You know, like you seeing couples together that before you would have never seen together before from different parts of the world. So that's blending. I guess crypto is now becoming a currency, which is decentralized. That's going to play into the culture. That's going to shift things. You having women that are getting more better opportunities in the job sector.
Rightfully so.
Their income is becoming more compatible with their significant other. That's changing. You know,
exceeding in some cases.
Yeah, exceeding.
In many cases.
Right. People are feeling more empowered to live in their own bodies. So
where the fuck else would you live?
Well, so for instance, if sometimes before we thought, if you're born a male and if you're born a female,
transition, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who are growing up and saying this body doesn't feel right. I want to live in a body that actually feels like mine. I'm going to go through a transition.
Yeah, they're pursuing their truth. They're pursuing their truth, and they should.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the world is becoming more progressive, more of a blend,
Accepting?
more of accepting.
I don't know. I mean, in a macro sense, it is, right? Because as younger generations grow, they become more liberal, more accepting. The percentage and incidence of racism and discrimination that occurs was a lot more in older generations. 80 was horrible, 70 bad, 60 worse. They're bad too, but it gets watered down. Younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, I don't even know who the fuck is next. But now, color is not really mattering. It's who are you? Who are you as a person? Who's your essence? Who are you? Behind the representative that you're sending the fuck out, who are you? Really. And so I think people are much more accepting to finding their person and who has synergy with who they are than worrying about external rappers that old motherfuckers older than me used to care about a whole lot.
But it still seems like a gender war is happening.
Race war has not slowed the fuck down. Race war, gender war, yeah. Shit, there's a lot of wars going on, man. Yeah, because as long as there's some folks that can't stand some folks, that can't stand some folks, it's going to be that.
Yeah. But do you think, as far as the gender role, before men didn't used to hate women in a way that
you saying men hate women now?
Well, the article you read, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from the article. It's
young Gen Zer men are having a divergent perspective from young Gen Zer women.
Okay.
Right? And so they have very divergent perspective. Whereas
they hate women. They're hating their counterpart.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say that they are, they believe that they're being discriminated because the women Gen Zers are getting opportunities that they no longer get. See, that's where they're salty. But what they fail to realize is that the Gen Z women are taking the steps, following the protocols, fulfilling, doing the research to make this shit happen. And they didn't sit back saying, nah, they're not. I mean, that's what statistics are saying. They're less likely to go to college, less likely to go get further education. If those statistics are true, they're not competing. And as a result, they're getting carried because they're not competing.
I wonder what happens as a result then. What does it look like? Because, I'm
not worried.
Okay, why aren't you worried?
Only because I think that whatever the statistics are that are moving in favor of women versus men, there will be some men that says, okay, well, for whatever that is, fuck that. I'm going to go ahead and do what the fuck I'm going to do. And they're going to do that shit. And the reason I believe that is because that's the mindset we've had to have people of color my whole life.
Right.
So it's like, yo, man, what, you crying because you used to have it your way and now you ain't getting it your way and you bitching? Yo, motherfucker, fuck that. I done heard that shit from other motherfuckers for all my whole life, man. You mad about that? Just get the fuck over that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking about you and I. I'm just talking about the proverbial you, how people are going to take it, what the word is going to look like. Because, look, if you stand in your truth, for me, I've always believed women were equal.
Of course.
All my life. So that's not changing for me. Right. But the rhetoric when I'm in the social settings with women, that usually, it plays on often, and
you see it happening a lot.
You see it happening a lot, and there's just a sense of, as a guy out there, even though I know that it's not targeted towards me because I'm not of whatever they're talking about when they talk about how men are, but you still feel it.
So let me
you still experience it, right? So
here's $100,000 question. Do you ever check the people you're with when you see that happening? And I would think for you, you would, because you're a contrarian anyway. You always trying to offer a counterpoint. But
I do, but sometimes, for the most part, I just let it live, right? Because it's also like
what's the point?
What's the point? What? Not what's the point, but I mean, it's almost like men have been, ruling things for so long, and all of a sudden, the idea. James said it. James fucking Brown said it. This is a man's world. I mean, everything is really like in the image of a guy. We build everything, and women just kind of live here. And now things are changing. Women are starting to have more power, more say. They're doing more things. They become more educated, making more money. And they're also talking about their frustration with men. And sometimes when I'm in the settings, I just listen. And I know that it's not about me. And I just listen because, sometimes it's not worth
you don't feel
trying
like
to correct. Yeah, you don't have to correct. It's like, what's the point? Let them vet out. We've been, at the front seat or the driver's seat for so long. But sometimes I feel the need to go, well, okay, like, that's a little bit too much. It's excessive. Now I'm just like, I know you're not talking about me personally, but
I'm getting a little pissed. She pissing me the fuck off. That's funny.
But it also I just think, regardless, and because that's just the world that I live in, I've always given the space for letting people show me who they are versus going, oh, because you're a woman, so you can't really say anything. I'm going to cut you off. Your opinion doesn't matter. It's mostly about, if the person, has sensibility, they understand, the context of what we're talking about. They have something to provide to the conversation. You let them talk. It doesn't matter who it is. And if they don't, you're like, maybe you, you sit out on this one. And
sit this one out.
Sit this one out. But forget where I was going with that.
Yeah, well, so I'll tell you what I see happening as we continue. Look, I think that, the way that we're evolving, man, things are becoming very fluid, man. You can start a business tomorrow and have a strategy, identify a niche in the marketplace that's being underserved or a potential new opportunity on the horizon, build a plan to expedite and take advantage of it. You ain't gotta, look, man, the way things and all the tools that AI is bringing to the table, there's no reason people should not be out here generating revenue, man. Have an idea and let AI put the whole plan together to make it happen.
Yeah. I like that idea. I've always been a proponent of technology as the great equalizer. Technology is what creates the middle class. It is what gives people like me the opportunity, coming from all the way West Africa, to still have a fighting chance despite the system working against us. I like your mindset when it comes to women and versus men, and how you don't mind because you're going to do what you do anyway, and you are who you are. And because I'm going to land with, and I love that, right? The way you can gain perspective, like provide perspective on that. It's the same thing I try to tell you when it comes to white and black and how we're treated in the country. Like, I don't mind. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, right? Because I know the resources that's available to me. Though I do experience, it happens in my business, reaching out to clients. And once they realize I'm black, I feel like the communication or the opportunity is harder to get. I experienced that. So I'm like, damn, like I get how, people in the working class, how they can experience this ongoing on a micro level and just everywhere. But I tend to try to, that's why I try to create my own path. So that's a specific way of thinking about things, because if you work a 9 to 5 or you have to answer to a boss, you just can't avoid it for the most part. But if you're in your own lane, then I feel like you realize that opportunity that is abundant, and you know that you're in control. You don't have to worry about the white man. So I like that perspective that you give. If like if things were to shift to a matriarchy society, you're like, as a man, I don't care because I'm going to feel the way I feel. I still have the same principles, morals. I still respect women, and I don't think it's taking anything away from me.
And I don't think it's a matriarchal society. See, I think it's going to be. I think the goal ultimately is to be a society of equality. If you're a society of equality, then it's a meritocracy, right? Whoever's bringing the best idea, the best concept, who's bringing the best heat, who's putting in the work, who's doing what they need to do to come out and be at the top of your game and be excellent, you are going to succeed. And whether that's a male or a female, it doesn't matter, man. You're just going to go ahead. Whoever has the drive, the energy, the motivation, the creativity, and the discipline to make it happen, that's no more likely a female than it is a male. Not at all. So at some point in time, if you make the playing field level, people just go after what they go after. And that's the playing field I've always had to live, because I've always had to be looked at a certain way because I was of color, because I wasn't white. Mm-hmm. So the fact that if men are out there going, damn, I'm mad, man, because women getting a whole lot of opportunities. Fuck you. Mm-hmm. Get out there and compete, motherfucker. I've had to fight for my shit. Girlfriend is fighting for her shit. Your monkey ass is mad because you always had it easy and you ain't got it easy now. Fuck you. Damn. Okay? Shit. Get out there and compete.
So now.
Fuck that. Now.
So I think, yeah, go ahead.
No, but if you killing it, you in the game, you walk into and you know your shit was crushing and you go in and there's a female that says, well, she's going to win, you're not going to win. Suck that shit up, man. Go back and get back in the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, because look, relationships matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're approaching election pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the idea that because there's been a shift in energy with, women excellence and guys, Gen Zers being salty about it. And so therefore they're not as motivated to take action or feel empowered to make a change. They feel like they're being almost robbed of their manhood because they're not used to, for the first time, seeing.
No, they feel salty because they don't have an advantage, because the playing field is and quite frankly, hold on, because again, some of them, for them, the feeling probably is very real that they're losing out to. See, and that's only if the statistics are accurate, because the statistics say that women are aggressive getting educated, aggressive in doing what they need to do and following the steps to be able to become successful. And the statistics say that women are doing that at 61, 62%, and men are only doing it at 37, 38%. So if you're not having a majority of men out there competing and you're losing, give them money, hear that shit. Fuck that. Mm-hmm. I mean, so the numbers are. Now, if men get up to 61% and women are, now you see. But it's still not going to be gender-based. It's going to be who's the most thorough, who's got the most creativity, who's putting the most work in. That has no bearing on whether you're male or female. It's how much grind you got.
Of course, it's always been that way. But not everybody feels and think about it that way. It takes an evolved mindset to be that, right? That's why the smaller percentage take advantage of the opportunity. But everybody have assets. And if you have that mindset, no one will have to fight against each other. I mean, things will look different as a society. But there's some reason along the way, seeds are planted that make people feel that they're being, someone is coming for their shit and their share. Like men now are feeling like women are coming for their shit, when in reality, women are just they just want to have a seat at the table and be able to have a fair share. Right?
And equality.
But how does that play into, because I'm concerned about the Gen Zers and with the upcoming election, with them feeling like that. Sometimes desperate calls for desperate measures, right? So they're thinking, how do we balance this thing out again? How do we regain power?
The problem is that same information indicated that Gen Z men are moving and gravitating to the Republican conservative movement, where it's pro-men.
Correct.
And so you got people that are men that are aligning with Trump. That's problematic for two reasons. One, the more men that align with Trump, the more possibilities that they may vote for him. That's alarming. The second part is the more men, Gen Zers, that are aligning with the Republican Party and Trump have the same attitude Trump had. That sparked the Me Too movement, essentially, where women are not respected. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that.
Yeah. I can't wrap my head around it. It's just I feel like for as much as we think Trump is such a bad candidate and just not fitting for the seat of the president, somehow he still is in the race. Somehow he's still being able to. I mean, because of the American Constitution, which is like a gift.
Not true.
So what is it?
Trump has a 21% of the Republican voting public. That's his base, about 21%, 22%. And Nikki Haley, who's the closest person behind him, has like 7%. He's crushing them. But that's in the primaries. Now, you know, it's the problem is, here's the problem, the issue. With Gen Z men gravitating to the Republican Party, being more in line with the Trump mentality as it relates to women, that percentage may gravitate to Republican, conservative, vote for Trump. That's problematic. Young people doing that. And of course, there are a lot of factors that are happening that are damaging Biden's. Not the least was he's old and motherfucking, but to impact his desire. But, you know, my biggest concern is that I think young people, if they don't vote, every young person, right, Gen Z and whatever else that doesn't vote is a vote for Trump. And I don't think women are going to be in the best position if Trump gets elected. I don't think people of color are going to be in the best position. I think rich white guys will be hooked up. And Trump's going to go on a motherfucking tour to burn everybody that was against him before. You think he was buck wild the first time? He's going to be out there with motherfucking drawers hanging out the second time through.
Sometimes I often wonder, what does it take to have more of a middle ground with people having their biases? Because one of the things I think that empowers Trump and makes him even a candidate is because of how much people on the left hates Trump. I mean, the name, when it comes up, it's just, it stirs up so much. People are not even able to think rationally. They don't want to hear anything at all about what this person is about.
They lived through the first 4 years.
I get it, sure. But I'm saying that fuels Trump. That fuels people going, oh, there must be something about this guy because, you know, people are just like hate him so much. It gives him power. Yeah. It gives him more morale. And so I wonder if we would just be able to have a conversation about Trump in a way that is more level head, more sane, to just look at things in a rational way that is just not as like that. I just shut you up. Don't say anything about Trump. I don't want to hear anything positive at all.
I could have had that conversation. You know what I mean? Be rational.
I don't know if we can really. I've tried numerous of times, and where I find myself is as if I'm being supportive of Trump. And I get it. Like I just always, because I'm thinking, like if I have my opinions and I stick to it, and someone else have their opinion that's completely opposite, where do we find the middle ground? There has to be some kind of compromise. Always. If not, you stay over there and I'm going to stay over here. When I talk to my friends who are left, and it's just the idea, like the minute I try to say anything about, just unbiasedly have a conversation about what's happening, you know, it's just never met with it's just like a impulse to just react negatively.
So there's something that's been said, and you know, hey, there's something that's been said. You never discuss politics and religion.
Yeah,
with people. I mean, you know, that's worked for me.
Or gender now. Or
you can talk gender, I think.
Not really.
We've been talking gender all night.
We have, in a politically correct way. We never really challenge any norms that's happening right now with gender. We just talked about what's happening unbiasedly. But going to opinions and having conversation about that,
Okay.
If we just talked about politics in a very like unbiased way, of course you can talk about anything, religion in an unbiased way. But if you have an opinion or side or anything, that's when you start to have these pushback and you start to feel these polarizing opinions about things.
So, I mean, you feel in Trump on being persecuted in that way.
He is. And I'm just thinking when I see that happening, I always go, because the people who are Trump supporters, regardless if you like them, agree with them or not, there are people out there who are human beings just like you and I, who support and believe that this guy's doing right. There are people like us who believe Biden and the Democrat Party is doing right. If we firmly believe that, and they firmly believe that, how can we get to a middle ground?
I don't.
We have to be able to listen and have constructive criticism around the conversations about what's actually happening. But no one gives each other the platform to be able to do that. That's why it becomes so polarizing all the time. That's why politics is so dangerous. Is people usually, time and time again, just fall into their own belief system and just never give way. And I just always, I don't really belong to any party. I look at things for what it is, and I try to make an assessment. I'm independent. I'm not just gonna just swore by one party if they're not doing right. I believe in constructive criticism. I believe in even playing field. Yeah, and so, but the minute you just try to have that kind of way of thinking, it's problematic in and of itself. The way I think is not really controversial. It's just like, hey, let's look at these things and let's be unbiased about them and let's talk about them fairly. You can't have that conversation nowadays. You either got to be for this person or this party or for that other party. That's why.
Why? I mean,
why is what it is? That's my.
I don't know if that's true because I think that I probably have some Republican views on things, right? I'm not Republican, but I have some Republican views. I mean, fiscal spending. I was an economics major. I look at how the government's printing money. It's not sustainable. Shit, motherfucking the debt is trillions of dollars. The debt carry every year is ridiculous. I mean, look, so, hey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that contributing to, because I also read another article and they're talking about how we, millennials, are a part of the loneliest generation to ever live.
Yeah, I think I saw that. The loneliest generation.
It
kind of makes sense.
In what ways do you think it makes sense for you? Like, have you, do you ever nowadays feel lonely at all? Does it happen more often than it used to before? Or do you just,
I never feel lonely. No, I don't.
You never feel lonely.
No, because I enjoy my company. I think that's probably it. I mean, I do enjoy my company, but I enjoy solitude. I enjoy being able to focus on things that I want to focus on. So when I have time that's just to me, I focus that on things that I think are positive, and I'm trying to get to from A to B on different things. So, I need that bandwidth to do it, and I'm happy to have it. So I don't ever really feel lonely. Now, from time to time, I miss somebody that I'd like to spend time with, right? Where I'm in a situation where I'm like, well, I got to do this work, but I would love to be somewhere else at the moment. But yeah, no, I'm not lonely.
Interesting. I think I agree with you because I was like, wait, you never feel lonely? But
do you?
No, I don't.
Why are you surprised at that?
Well, because I thought in my mind, I'm just like, it's not possible that I haven't felt lonely. I had to have felt lonely before, and maybe I have, but for the most part, majority of my life, I don't feel lonely. I miss people. I love being around people and in crowds, so I try to find my way there. But I also equally love solitude. I'm the type of person who will go to the movies by myself. I'll take myself to dinner. Yeah. I go hiking and camping a lot by myself, and I don't really feel like I need someone to be there.
Yeah.
But even with that, I think if I were to be born where at the onset, because you even see social media videos now, baby, like mothers and fathers are putting the phone in their babies' faces and recording them from birth. The kids are interacting with the camera at 1 and 2. They already know that they're being recorded, or they have some sort of interaction with social media at like 1.5, 2 years old.
Yeah.
And they grow up, and now they're in that world. So wherever they go, they have some sort of partialness with the virtual space where they think they're not really, or they don't want to be lonely, because they can just pull their phone out and see what's happening. And, always living in the era of distraction, noise. There's no sense of solitude, no real purpose or like no value to being by yourself truly. And
see, so here's what's interesting, because we were talking about before we came on air that millennials are the loneliest generation, and I said I can see that because my experience with you, you all embrace technology. You were different. I talked about going outside and playing, man, in the yard, playing football, playing basketball, being outside. Not in the wintertime, even sometimes in the wintertime, but all year round. You lived that in Liberia,
Yeah.
But millennials were the first generation, I think, to really go to technology. Be on PlayStation and all that. No.
Millennials still played in the playground. Gen Zers.
So you old as fuck.
The tail end of Gen Zers.
You old as fuck. You old as fuck. You played outside?
Yeah, we play outside, man.
You old motherfucker, man.
I know that generation now is considered
I'm
old.
gonna call you M Boomer.
Or you just gonna skip Gen X and just go straight to Boomer?
M hyphen Boomer. M Boomer. But but
we played outside.
Okay, so Gen Zers, they didn't go outside.
Yeah, even my because I had a little cousin, Marcus. He was the early Gen Zer, and we played outside together. So he played outside. Part of the Gen Zer generation played outside. It was the tail end or the end of the Gen Z. That
I'm gonna let you in the club. I'm gonna give you a pass.
Yeah,
but you can't bring your boy Gen Z. Fuck that. He can't get the fuck in. I don't believe that shit. No, he can't get in.
Yeah. Physical. Playing outside is what leads to sports.
Absolutely,
athleticism. So like, I wonder how that's gonna change.
So here we go. So the interesting thing is that millennials were considered to be the loneliest generation.
Yeah,
and I guess, I don't know if during the period of time when you would have been making significant relationships, you're probably a good gauge because you're an old millennial. But I'm not trying to say it like that, but you are.
Oh, you are saying it like that.
You are. You probably just got in before he closed the door. Like, yo, LeVar, one more, bro, one more, and you got in. But so
40s are the new 20s.
Okay, oh shit, 40s new 20s. Yeah, you old motherfucker. So, but here's the thing. That's just funny. I think millennials, though, in the years when you probably would be really kind of building, you had the pandemic impacted, I think, millennials in a significant way, probably. Most millennials, when did the pandemic hit them? In their late 20s, 26, 27? Is that about right?
Millennials? Pandemic?
I'm guessing, no?
30.
You were 30 years old when the pandemic
30.
hit?
30, 28 to 31-ish.
When the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
See, that been a disruption.
Yeah.
A lot of people were isolated during the pandemic, man.
A whole lot. It's changed work culture for the permanent.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Now
I think for the better.
You think it's for the better, but it's also leading to the lonely generation that we speak of.
Isolation.
This hybrid culture that people celebrated early and actually protested that they wanted to stay at home and work.
Yeah.
It benefited some people, like mothers could stay, put their kids to sleep, play with them for a little and, take a break and then get back to work.
More than that.
Some people would travel and, work remotely.
But think about it. If I had to go in every day, I got to pay for parking. I got to pay for lunch. I got to pay for childcare. If I can work remotely, I don't pay for childcare anymore. I don't pay for parking.
Sure.
I ain't got to pay for eating our lunch.
But at what cost, though? See, what we're realizing is that when you're working with your coworkers, that before we used to spend probably more time with our coworkers than we spent with our family. We're at work for the most part.
Is that good?
I don't know, but when you're at work, you're likely to get more feedback from your boss to see if you're doing good or bad. More likely to get more promotion. More likely to have that loose relationship with a coworker that can spark some sort of intuition or epiphany within you that actually can, or they can maybe give you a leg up to where you can switch a career path and become more successful. That kind of relationship that you have being at work, there's so many other benefits that came from it that a lot of people didn't realize until it started to work from home and realize that, oh my God, like, you know, I not being with my coworker or not seeing my boss often, he's not likely to critique me because he doesn't have a relationship with me. He doesn't want to hurt my feelings. So now I don't interact with him. And now because of that, I don't even get a raise. You know, so is it worth not, you know, going through traffic? Is it worth
But see, I think it depends.
the parking spaces?
Well, I think it depends. You know, yes, there are benefits to working remotely, saving a lot of money. It's like you got a raise. Mm-hmm. There are downsides. Yes, you lose community. You don't have the personal relationships at work. You know, yeah, maybe. I mean, I think your boss is going to be able to grade you based upon production regardless. I mean, you know, I don't need somebody to walk in my office and hand me some shit if they can email it to me and it's the same quality. I don't give a fuck. I don't need that shit for real. But, you know, I mean, but yes, relationship building is important. And the more you spend at work, the more you get a chance to, you know, get personality. I get that. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. But we're moving to more remote.
I mean, yeah, the urbanization living structure, I think, is also affecting that. Like I talked, now I'm in the space with the networking space because of, you know, climate DC and just being out there interacting with folks, nightlife. I run across a lot of people and it's like, hey, why are you here? What brings you to DC? And it's usually personal driven. It's usually work driven. So they're coming to the city just to find work, and it's more of a personal agenda. Not because they're seeing it as a place to come in and live and have a community. And most of them are transplant. They're here and then they're leaving 5-6 years later in some cases. So it's really that kind of structure too, and that way of living makes it really hard to establish community.
DC's always been that. I mean, I grew up my whole life in DC, and DC's always been transient. You know, there's about 18 people that were really born in DC and are native, and the rest, you know, it's transients. But again, that's a dynamic that's, you know, but I imagine it's probably exacerbated because of the whole online shit. And motherfuckers, you know, they ain't spend a lot of time in each other's presence.
Yeah. A relationship, like, this one of the, I don't know if you, like, you saw this interview with Simone Biles. How's the last name go? Miles, yes. Right?
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Simone Biles.
I like Simone.
I like Simone too. There's an interview with Simone and her boyfriend.
He's an NFL player. I can't remember his name. Yeah.
I guess no one knows his name. That's the thing.
I mean, I'm look.
And he made a statement.
Look at Simone. And look at him.
America's
Who the
baby.
fuck am I gonna remember? I ain't remember him. Fuck him. I remember Simone. Yeah.
So in the interview, they're asking this guy. They're like, "How did you get Simone?" He goes, "The real question is, how did she get me?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, I was minding my business, and Simone matched me, and I was trying to focus. I didn't know who she was at the time because we were locked in."
Tinder?
No, this dating app for celebrities. So people high profile. You have to, like, go through some qualifications. And then, you get accepted, and then, you know, other celebrities are on there. And so he matched Simone. And he's like, anyway, towards the end of the interview, he's like, "Man, listen, I said it, man. Like, I think men are the catch." And so social media let that dude have it. They're like, "Who the fuck are you?"
No, I'm sure.
You know, like,
yeah, I'm sure it is.
But I hear often that women are saying men are trash out here. Like, men, it's just hard to find a guy with any substance. And I'm thinking, there are way more women who got their shit together that are doing well now than the male counterpart. and so therefore makes it hard for a woman to find a guy that's compatible with them. And if that's the case, since the numbers, the percentage of men who are actually good are slimmer, wouldn't that make men to catch instead of
from percentage standpoint? Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because there are way more good women out there than good men.
I don't know if it's even good women. It's just a matter of they're in a population where there are more men than women. Mm-hmm. No, scratch that.
Are there more women?
There are more women than men. Right, and there are more women than men. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if you're in D.C., there are more professional women.
Not if you live in China.
Yeah, well, maybe not. A lot of motherfuckers in China. But that being the case, yeah, you know, so yeah, no, man, yeah. I mean, there are. See, again, I go back to that equal playing field. There's some women that are straight up the catch. There's some men that are straight up the catch. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're doing, who you are. Mm-hmm. It has a lot to do with, you know, if you're a catch or not. A lot of catches on both sides.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
Yeah, if you just, I guess, I think you attract what you are. And I always believe that, regardless of the percentage out there. Well, there's sometimes you could be in an area, a geographical location where there's nothing to catch, right? But the DMV, I mean, what makes this place so special is that you have people of all race and gender here, even representation of the black community, of being like a wealthy, you know, you see more diversity here. It's more of a melting pot than when you travel other parts of the United States. Even so that people think that, I mean, people who live here probably think it is like that everywhere until they travel.
Well, I mean, some people may think that, yeah.
Yeah.
Most people know that it's not.
Yeah. But it's hard to really conceptualize it or feel it because you kind of know it in numbers, but a lot of people don't really travel out. So to live, I think people are privileged here that live and see a black representation that's balling. And, you know, I'm in traffic. Every time I'm driving, I see fancy cars and shit. And I look, it's a black dude or a black woman, you know, like I never think, oh man, like there's sort of like, I never think black people aren't doing well because I live in the DMV, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful representation is important.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Absolutely it is. No question.
Now,
and people of color are doing well in the DMV.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what else is on your mind today, man? I think we're getting close to wrapping it up, but in the last minute thoughts, I know we're still new to video format, and you know we're still figuring things out. And for me, it's the process has been a little bit more overwhelming for me, I would say, to be honest. And I think, and I mentioned in the first video episode, I think that I'll be talking about the process a little bit, whether it's 2-3 minutes, just to kind of shed light on
second video. But
yeah. I mean, I usually, you know, will watch video podcasts a lot, and I wish I knew a little bit of insight if I was a creative and I wanted to start my own pod. So as I'm doing it, it's easy to just kind of bend your head down and just go through the motion, and then until you know you sort of like
What's been the biggest challenge in the migration from just audio only into video?
The video component, syncing the audio and making sure that the color grading is great. Everything is in focus, the lighting setup. And it's also a new approach because with audio, you have the music fade in, fade out.
Intro,
you can
outro.
have intro, outro is different, but the video you have to have obviously maybe more of it's not really more music based. It's
more production based.
It's more production. The workload increases and you're managing more things. You're managing audio, you're managing the video, the camera, and all of that. So, you know, it overlaps into the conversation sometimes when I'm having. And depending, like today, I I came in and we set up and we got on the mic very short. So I'm still in production mode, and I have to be in conversation mode.
Yeah.
And my mind is not really didn't really transition into beginning of the episode towards the end. It's like trying to find rhythm. All of that stuff is real. I don't know if it's worth mentioning, or if I don't know, or it's just for me. Do I think that is something that other people might want to think about as they're going on this creative journey of trying to start a pod or a video pod, and if they're going to be a co-host and doing production?
Absolutely.
But for me, it's real. And I sometimes when I go back and edit the show, and I wonder if people knew what was happening in my head, where I was. And yeah, I don't know. I think for our listeners, maybe, because we have this small community that we're just in touch with. I think it's worth for them to know just maybe
absolutely 100%
how what do
how
you call
the sausage is made.
The sausage is made.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, man. I always appreciate that's why we have a healthy balance, because even if I'm feeling in the rut, or I'm not as with it with what I want to say, you're able to really have some interesting perspective that I can latch onto to share my insight. So I always appreciate you as a co-host for that.
Hey, bro, I appreciate you. I mean, we have different perspectives,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes we have the same perspective, but I try to I try to play the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Earlier with the women, the conversation, I was like, I'm gonna leave that alone, because I was playing the devil's advocate, and I was like, wait, I seem like I'm not supporting women right now, so maybe I should.
No, I mean, if you don't support them, tell them. Hey, look, in my life, I always appreciated a motherfucker who told me he didn't like my ass. Okay, I was like, yo, I prefer to know. Don't act like you're doing.
There you go. That's not even helping.
Tell
still,
me.
Tell me. You love you. I'm gonna separate you from me. I'm gonna let everybody know.
No, so if that's the camp you in, put your flag. Put your flag out.
I'm not in that camp. I'm not in that camp.
Look, I appreciate it. Look,
I just don't. I just don't like any content, any conversation, any media outlet that are just both everybody just yeah. I'm not learning much. There's no voice that's coming from another perspective that's giving some nuance to the conversation.
So here's what I would say. I would say that I feel you on that, right? Mm-hmm. Part of the reason that I can't embrace that as a concept is I feel compelled and motivated and only want to be my authentic self, right? So I think it's more compelling to know, hey, man, some things we disagree on, some things we do agree on. Yeah, I watch PTI every day, man. Mike and Tony, sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think what they want is the authenticity,
Well, that's not lost.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm not saying that.
I mean, even things that I agree on.
Even when you said you didn't, you was mad at the women because they was no, you didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that. I said men. The men are hating women, and you said no, it's not hate. It's a diversion. And I mean, well, quite as kept. I mean, the way
they're unhappy. They're unhappy with women. That's fair. They mad because women they putting in the work. See,
I guess maybe saying hate is a strong word. It sounds very
it's aggressive. It's aggressive.
It's aggressive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, sure.
Aggressive. Yeah.
So but nah. Even when I'm on the same team, I just always find that it's useful. If you're just in your own bubble, you don't have anybody even on your same team going, well, what about this? Let's expose this.
That's a problem.
Laughing at something, right? I think there's this saying that the heyoki in the culture back then, it was the guy who was the clown who made fun of everything. Even the leader of the culture would be made fun of. And that was a test to make sure that to poke holes at anything that didn't make sense if he wanted to be more of a dictator. And the idea is that if you can't laugh at anything, then there's something up with that idea. Like, you don't be able to say, hey, like let's make fun of or expose this to see what's like really happening. And if someone says no, you can't make fun of the boss or you can't do this, it just doesn't feel properly. What's the word I'm looking for?
Doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel like you have freedom of speech.
Yeah, and even like I often do that, and we go back and forth, and I'll say this, but there's at times where I want to clown Biden, and you just be like, nah, the motherfucker doing this, don't vote for Trump. And I'm like, yo, can we just laugh at the motherfucker?
True.
Like,
I have laughed at Biden. I've laughed at him. I mean, not true. I call foul because I have always said, hey man, you say Biden's older motherfucker. I'm like, he's older than 3 motherfuckers. I grant you that. That's not the issue. I mean, he's old. Yes, you can't have a debate about that. He's an older motherfucker. The question is, you vote for him, you vote for Trump. And I'm saying, if you vote for Trump, that's a vote for Trump. If you don't vote at all, that's a vote for Trump. Or you vote for Biden. I don't know. That's it. That's what it is, man. Mm-hmm. And people going to vote their conscience. They're going to vote.
Yeah.
You know, if you want Trump. I mean, I ain't going to ask you. I don't want to put you on Front Street, but.
What, if I'm going to vote or not?
No, I know you're going to vote because I'll be a mad motherfucker. Are you going to vote for Trump? I mean, you said one time you said you might.